Good to have you in. Sunday Live is here with the Average Joe Sports Show, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman, Denver fan, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. Good to have you check us out. We will get a basketball sighting from one Sam Hoiberg here to get things tipped off this morning in just a wee bit, and then some more thoughts and reaction, to Nebraska Penn State last night. And we invite you to subscribe and check us out on YouTube 7 days a week with the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe. Find on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod. Fellas, a lot of rough-looking fellas at the gas station this morning. Rough night for Junior. He was at a football watch party. Don't know where his car is. He was home, and I had to take him to work this morning. So got him handled there, and then had to get myself some coffee and a little nicotine. Sorry, not an endorsement, but a lot of rough folks that were just creaking in and out of the old gas station looking like hell, looking like they'd gone 4 quarters with the Penn State offensive line.
Schmidt, it's interesting that you're using the people at the gas station to gauge the overall well-being of Lincoln, Nebraska. As a guy who lives in North Lincoln, seeing people looking rough at the gas station, that's just a Tuesday morning.
That's every day.
Out in South Lincoln, that's special.
Well, you made a good point. I mean, just the contrast for sure. And most of the time I do get my gas and do some shopping in North Lincoln, but for the Sunday Live, I'm, at home. So I go make it happen that way. Sharpie, travel all right, as you're going to get some raise today, it looks like.
Yeah, travel is good. Last night was really bad. That was a bad night for Nebraska. Nebraska, we were talking yesterday, and those are kind of games that you play. Like if you believe that Nebraska's moving forward, those are the kind of games that, reiterate that you're moving forward. And last night, unfortunately, was a reminder that things really aren't that different, that Nebraska is kind of the same team they were at Arrowhead against Cincinnati. They're middle of the pack, 10th, 11th in the Big Ten. It was a reminder. Vegas builds tall buildings for a reason. Penn State being a 9.5-point favorite. It's also a reminder that the T and the D is missing from Nebraska. And what that is you cannot compete at that level in this conference without trenches and development. And it was just a reminder. I think we sell a lot of hope in media here, and people eat hope, and they just want hope. That's what keeps us going as sports fans, is the hope. And nights like last night, man, they start to pause and you go, ooh, I don't know. But 2 things here. One, I don't believe that the current makeup of this coaching staff to adjust and adapt, and this isn't new, I've said this for a while, Nebraska can't win in their current setup if they don't have the more talented team. They just can't. And Penn State still has dudes. Their year hasn't gone as well. But last night, their coach got their team motivated. The other coach coming off a bye, that's an egg. That is on his plate. That is on Rule last night. And this is the week of Rule. To go from last night to the huge game they now have on Friday. It was a really, really bad night to be pushed around for 60 minutes of football and then to have a fake punt run on you when you're down 30-10.
Gary, I want to ask you the question because that was actually on my mind last night with the Husker coaching staff. As we look ahead towards a transfer portal December where there's going to be lots of roster shakeup, I believe, is it more important that Nebraska gets their roster right next year or their coaching staff right?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. And can you do both? I think though, with the talent, everybody knows that this is a game in the trenches. I mean, this you cannot move forward in this conference unless you have the trenches figured out. And we knew this was going to be a transition on run defense, but they really haven't gotten better as the season's gone along. They've had spurts of where, okay, but too many times teams are just lining it up and running them over. And, that's a little bit of development. That's a little bit of youth. It's a little bit of, okay, what's this going to look like next year? But there's 2 things is, one, you got to get bigger in the interior. You lost 2 big boys last year. And then I think another thing, and this is where either you got them on campus or you got to go buy them. Nebraska's got to find some edge setters. They got to find guys when you're going to play teams that are going to run the football on you that can turn things back inside. And I don't think Nebraska is equipped right now to be able to set the edge outside. And that was my fear last night is what if Penn State gets outside? We saw that. And then they can just go inside and do whatever they want. So disappointment all the way around. There's very few positive things about last night. The positive things I think are like to be excited about. But, man, it was just a reminder of where Nebraska is. It's the 11th game, guys. You can't – if you would have told me like in game 3 or 4, like Michigan, end of September, hey, Nebraska got outclassed. And they weren't really outclassed in that game, but kind of see where I'm going. You can go, it's early in the year, they'll get it taken care of. This was game 11 last night of year 3. And you would have – if I would have said to you, which team is 4-6, which team is 7-3 going into that game, what uniform would you have said is the 7-3 team?
Navy.
Yeah, that's
Navy it is.
That's the thing I said last night, and then our final word was measurement. And in thinking about it again this morning, Nebraska measured itself against a mediocre but improving Penn State team, apples to apples. And I mean, thankfully, Akron and Houston Christian were on the docket this year. Nebraska took care of business. Could you imagine if Nebraska was in the situation again going into the last week or two of November, trying to become bowl eligible after last night, and it was all on the line next Friday? But we kind of put that to bed a couple of weeks ago. That thank goodness that they've made it. And now, where do we see the improvement in the month of November? The measuring stick was this Penn State team. They have, as Gary says, more dudes. Nebraska's got some. They just have more of them, and they have. They were more motivated at this point in the season, I think, than Nebraska was. Maybe that's because they're playing for their coach. I don't know what bowl eligibility necessarily means to this particular Penn State team, because I think it's going to get disassembled after the season's over with, and they're going to be scattered to the winds, maybe going to Virginia Tech. I don't think the coach that they said they're playing for is going to get the job. And for Penn State, if they were to go through this search and fire James Franklin and not have named Terry Smith already as their head coach, then that's a big miss, because they could have been building all this season and saying, this is the guy who's going to lead, and they could have been rebuilding while they were continuing to play. So that's Penn State aside. Nebraska's measuring stick, apples to apples, is 27 points worse than where Penn State is right now.
We will flip to happier talk, and that is Nebraska basketball off to a 6-0 start. Sam
Hold on, time out. Why don't we just get Sam's thoughts on last night at Penn State? He's a football guy.
No comment there.
Yeah. Well played. Sam, good to have you in on the Sunday live edition of the Average Joe Sports Show, man. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I listened to the pregame show, and thanks, Bill, for that warm welcome, letting everyone know I missed that second free throw.
It was intentional, right?
It was intentional, yeah.
I know it was intentional. As I just tweeted out, it was the best 1-for-2 free throw trip in Nebraska basketball history.
Sam, what the hell was going on there at the end of the game? The clock situation, you're shooting free throws, people are talking smack. Walk us through like the last couple of seconds of Friday night.
Yeah, so I obviously got fouled and thought there was 0.6 seconds on the clock. It was when I was shooting the free throw. I'm just thinking make one. I made it, and then I look over at my dad. He says miss it, because it would have given him no time. And then I missed it. They go back and look 2 plays back, which I think is completely illegal.
Yes.
And added time to the clock. So that was a little bit annoying. I think I probably would have tried to make the second one if we knew that would happen, but obviously it worked out.
Well, as I did tell you, though, the other night, nice rebound.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sam, let's dive in. Couple of neutral, air quote, neutral site games, the last 2 for Nebraska, and you guys are off to a incredible start. Talk a little bit here about the team, the chemistry, and just how you guys are feeling.
Yeah, I've been really high on this team ever since we got together. One of I think the most important things for our success has been chemistry, and this team really came together. It's probably the best as a whole group that we've had since I've been here. And obviously we got the pieces, we can really shoot it. And I think we proved the other night that we don't necessarily live and die by the three, since we didn't shoot it well, and we still beat a really talented Kansas State team.
How significant, though? Okay, the Hall of Fame Classic aside, go back to the Oklahoma game and the resiliency, the fight. And that was a March battle. How significant was that moment in this season for you guys going forward? And just the belief that we've got the chemistry, we've got the talent, we have the grit. That this is a benchmark for December, January, February, and on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we always talk about in the locker room is battling adversity. And last year we really struggled with that. I mean, you saw that with how up and down we were. And that was the first adversity we really faced, being down by 16 in the first half and showing that we're capable of coming back. I think we all knew that we were, just because we have so much firepower offensively that we can come back when we're down big. But just showing that we can stay resilient mentally and make that comeback was huge. And we battled a lot of adversity in the Hall of Fame Classic too, and that's showing right now. And these are the games you have to win to make it to March.
What's it do for you having a guy like Rink Mass back, a guy who you played a lot of basketball with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I haven't made 6 layups in a college basketball game before. And that's largely due to him pulling the big out on the perimeter. So, I mean, he opens up everything for us. Obviously, having a big not sitting in the paint is super helpful, but just, I mean, his skill, his passing, his shooting, it just opens up so much for us offensively. And he's a really good defender. He talks so well in ball screen coverage, and I think that's an underrated aspect of his game. But he helps us. He's our engine for sure, and he makes things easier for everybody.
Does he have a little Jokic to his game? That's what I feel like I've been seeing this year. Like, heady defender, plays smart, kind of reads the other team's offense, but the way he can distribute from the top of the key and even the 3-point line kind of gives you that Jokic feel, which is where basketball is moving.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was kind of our analysis of him a couple of years ago, was that he's going to be able to play a bit like a stretch 5.5 and really be a good passer for us. And obviously he showed that with the triple-double, but I definitely see the comparisons, just being able to shoot. And he's a good defender because he's smart. He's not fast. He's really slow feet. But he just helps us because he's so smart and makes plays like Jokic.
I always think it's your post play that's opened it up for him on the outside to take the threes.
Yeah, I mean, when you got 5'11", 180 in there, just getting the paint locked up, it makes it a lot easier for a 6'10" guy to shoot threes.
Yeah. It's a smart strategy.
It's just all about teamwork, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Sam Hoiberg with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Go ahead, Sharpie.
Hey, we've all seen Frager play in high school, and you saw him last year when he wasn't playing redshirting. And I ran into you early in the summer, and you kind of echoed the same sentiments as you really like this team. And his name came up right away. And we've seen him now in his first 5 games. Like, what is the change? Like, when did you think, man, this guy could be a key part of what we're going to try and do in 25-26?
Honestly, it was pretty quick last year. I think we almost regretted the decision to redshirt him because he was killing us in practice. I don't think anyone realized how much skill he had offensively when he was coming in. I mean, he was 17, so the plan was to redshirt him from the start. Mm-hmm. Had that not been the initial plan, I don't think he would have redshirted. But now you get him for a whole 4 years, and if he stays that long, he's playing out of his mind as a freshman. Maybe he can make to the NBA with his size and athleticism. But yeah, I mean, his confidence is just unmatched. It's something you envy as a teammate, because he just never thinks he's going to miss a shot. He's always ready to shoot, and it's really helpful when you're facilitating and he's ready to shoot those shots and obviously make them.
How important has it been for Jamarcus Lawrence to come back, and how different of a player is he this year as opposed to 2 years and then a year away in Rhode Island?
Yeah, I think he's just gained a lot of confidence. He just needed a little mental refresh, I think. I think his sophomore year didn't go quite as well as he planned. He obviously had an amazing end to his freshman year here, and then I think he only averaged like 6 points in sophomore year, which he was due for a jump, and he just didn't have his best season. So he went away, averaged 10 points, shot it really well, and just knowing the system and defensively and offensively, he's just super confident that he can come back and lead, and he's done an amazing job of that. He's matured. I think my dad's talked about that a lot in the media, but that's been huge for him, and he's obviously shown it on the court, and he's an amazing player. He always has been.
Sam, what's your mentality? And talk a little about the team as well in tight games. You look at how down to the wire it was against Oklahoma, down to the wire it was against Kansas State, and that no flinch ability so far this season.
Yeah, we talk a lot about we call it finding our six, which is basically on a scale of 1 to 10 how up or down you are with your energy, and it looks different for other guys. For example, my 6 might look like Kale's 12, but you just have to kind of get to like a level to where you're either amping up your energy to be ready for the moment, or to bring down your energy and stay calm, which is something that I do. And like after the game, I was like honestly just feeling really chill, not like super excited, because I tried to calm myself down so much at the end of that game, and it paid off when I got to the free throw line. I didn't feel too nervous on that, but yeah, I think it's just staying calm under pressure and just rolling with the punches. We got down 4 late, and I think a lot of people might have shut it down at that point since we'd given up such a big lead. But yeah, we just stayed with it, rolled with the punches, and I think everyone found their 6 and we pulled it off.
This team is full of guys, Sam, that went under-recruited out of high school, guys that not many schools around the country wanted, didn't give him looks. I mean, you talk about Frager, talk about Mast, Cale Jacobson. So many guys in this team went under-recruited. Is that something that sticks with you guys? Is there a chip on your shoulder nature from that? What do you just make of the fact that it's this team of a lot of Midwestern guys that, hey, the big dogs weren't coming after, that are making some noise in the Midwest? What does that mean to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I didn't feel too much of a chip on my shoulder since I wasn't recruited all that much, because I didn't have a full lot of confidence that I was a Big Ten player when I got here. But I definitely used it as motivation in my workouts. I worked so hard those early years, and I still am, to improve. But once I figured out I was good enough to play at this level, then I was like, okay, I need to show these people. And it's obviously kind of a weird look when you're the 5'11" coach's kid, not putting up a whole lot of stats, getting lots of minutes. But I just really, my chip on my shoulder comes from trying to prove to people that I do belong. But for the other guys, yeah, I mean, I think we don't necessarily talk about it very much, but we know that we were under recruited, and being able to show that we can beat these teams that have, 5 stars and really high talent guys is just a really satisfying feeling. And it proves that coaching, chemistry, and just playing together, it beats talent most of the time.
When did you know that you could hang in the Big Ten? Is there a moment that stands out?
Yeah, I think kind of halfway through my freshman year, I was playing on scout team, and it's easy to play with confidence on scout team because there's really no remorse for missing a shot or anything. But I was starting to play really well. I was shooting it amazing, and with that confidence, I really just took it and knew that I could beat up on these guys. I would have practices where I hit 7 threes, and the scout team would beat that team by 20. And not saying that's a lot because that team was terrible. No offense to my former teammates, but I definitely felt like I belonged later in that season, and my whole mindset in the off season was to try to work my way into the rotation, which I didn't play great that following summer in practice, but and I think I put too much pressure on myself, but the opportunity came up when we had injuries, and I just took it when it came.
Hey, you're loved at PBA, but when you go on the road, you are the coach's kid. What's the best heckle that you've heard when you've been on the road in the Big Ten or elsewhere?
Gosh, I don't know if I can call any of them the best. I just get "Daddy's boy" all the time. That's a creative one. I mean, it's just so much like how you would never play on any other team, like all that stuff. I just tune it out. It's been the same. I mean, even in high school, I felt like the target. So I'm very used to it, but I don't know if one stands out as the best. But yeah, they get on me pretty heavy.
Who gave it to you?
Which is the worst?
The worst?
Yeah. Which is the worst place? The place.
Penn State, 100%. And it
There's
didn't
nobody.
help that
There's nobody there.
Well, there's nobody there except the 5 students right behind you. And it didn't help that I had my worst game of my college career at Penn State last year, so they could really wail on me. But Yeah, just the fact that that's the only people you can hear, and they're right on top of you. That makes it the worst.
It's an empty gym. There's 5 of them. They've been priming since noon.
Yeah, it's a Snops bottle's place. You can hear the Snops bottle get tipped
So
over.
it just echoes.
Smell it on their breath. Right on top of you.
Keep the birthday candles away, Sam Hoiberg with us here, Average Joe Sunday Live. Couple more minutes with Sam before he's got to get to shoot around. So not a heckling question, but last time you beat Dad at golf or beat Dad at one-on-one?
So I honestly have never played him one-on-one in basketball. He really put the ball down after retiring.
Okay.
So I've played him in horse. I don't think I ever beat him in horse. It's been a long time, though. Golf, I beat him every single time.
Well, so you got a new driver with your Crown earnings. Has that worked out well for you?
The driver didn't work out as well as I wanted, but I bought a 7-wood with that same money, and that thing was the key to dropping my handicap too. So we'll give the Crown money credit for. I got to a plus 0.1 handicap this summer.
Wow,
which is the lowest I've ever been, and we'll give credit to the Crown for that.
Okay, so that's a lot of golf rounds, I can only assume. I was going to ask you your favorite course around town, but this is the Average Joe Sports Show, and I know, hey, with the NIL, the Crown money, you can play some of the nice courses. We're the Average Joes. What's your favorite municipal course around Lincoln of the 4 big ones?
That's code, Sam, for invite.
Well, I love Highlands. I live like 5 minutes from it, and I think it's honestly a really nice course. It's in good shape, and it's a tough test when you're not hitting it straight, but you can score low there too. But it's honestly a great course. It's good. I think Lincoln has great municipal golf.
That they do.
Totally agree. Hey, one thing people don't know, and I mentioned this to you the other night, you've not felt well for a little while now. So the performance that Sam turned in, not since the Jordan flu game, have I seen somebody put together an important run in a championship game the way you did. So kudos to you on that.
Yeah, thanks. I promise it wasn't an excuse to miss class.
How is old Bill Doleman as a professor?
He's okay. No, he's been great. He's really helping me. I want to get into sports commentary, so I stay with him after class. Gives me lots of tips, and I'm going to start calling some high school games soon. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been really helpful for me to have Bill.
You're probably going to be a regular on the Average Joe Sports Show as long as you continue to go at least 1 for 2 from the stripe. You know, totally average. You got a podcast too. What's promote your podcast? What do you guys got going on?
Yes, it's called the Sports Section Pod. The host, his name is Matthew Mounsey. He actually lived with my twin brother at TCU, and he's getting into broadcasting. He hit me up one day just talking about getting stuff on tape because he knew I wanted to get into analyst stuff. And yeah, we're just doing one podcast a week talking college basketball, and it's been pretty fun.
Have you had a chance to glimpse it all towards the Big Ten? I know it's one game at a time, Sam, but pretty deep league yet again.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be an absolute battle this year. And I mean, obviously we ranked 14th in the power rankings before the season started, so we got a little chip on our shoulder there. But I mean, like you said, one game at a time. But when you look ahead, we got Creighton, Illinois, and Wisconsin in a 3-game stretch, and that's going to really show who we are. And this Winthrop team should have beat Arkansas last week, which I'm not sure people realize that. So that's going to be a tough game too, and potentially another good win for the resume. But yeah, it's going to be an absolute battle. And if we finish in the upper half, I think we're going to be in a really good spot this season.
One of the things that we, the fan base, talks about a lot, Sam, is that NCAA tournament win. It's been elusive. Fans have been waiting for it for years. I know Kent Pavelka has been waiting for it for years. Is that something that you guys talk about much internally?
Absolutely. You can't not. And Rick and I live together. We don't want to leave this place without a tournament win. We've seen the growth in the program, and we think we're at the level to where we can get that done. Obviously, making it 2 years ago and not getting it done really stung. So we don't want to leave this place without getting that tournament win, and that's the goal on our mind. And we don't want to just place a goal to where you get the one and then you're done and think that you're kind of off the hook, I guess. But we want to go far in the tournament. We think we got the pieces for that, and we're going to obviously keep continuing to improve. But we do think this team has what it takes to get there. So, I mean, that is the goal in mind, and we do talk about it quite a bit.
That's awesome.
Sam, will let you get to shoot around. Appreciate you making time and jumping on the Sunday Live Average Joe Show, partner. And best to you, and we'll get in touch again, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to coming on again.
Thanks, Sam.
Sam. Appreciate Sam.
Hey, you know, so Ken Palm, if you are subscribers to Ken Palm and you believe in his metrics, so they have Nebraska going 10-0 to start the year, which will include a win over Creighton and Wisconsin. Their first loss would be at Illinois on the 13th of December. But I noticed this morning he has Nebraska projected to go 20-11, 10-10 in the Big Ten. And I would think 10-10, you write your ticket into the NCAA tournament.
That might get you a 7 seed?
7 or 8. I think the Big Ten has got a really good chance to get 11 plus teams in, possibly. You know, if you're just looking after the first month. So if you can ride that wave of the Big Ten, I mean, they're finding a way to win. They're a very uniquely built roster that some days you go, man, they have no athleticism. Then other days you go, oh, okay, they're sneaky athletic. But they play hard. And these wins, do not overlook Oklahoma, New Mexico, Kansas State. Root for them to do well because you know, if you have a rough patch in the Big Ten, which I think Nebraska, you know, they will probably have, you know, can you fall back on some of these key wins that you get in the non-con? So the more you can rack up, I mean, the better, and avoid that really bad loss. But they're a fun team to watch, man. You know, this has been a good last week for Nebraska basketball, and you know, the fans went to Sioux Falls, the fans went to Kansas City, and you know what's coming. And the Big Ten will be here before you know it. But you know, Sam's been an integral part. I think that's key insight what he shared with his guys about him and Rink are roommates, that they do talk about it. Because I think a couple of years ago it was like, you don't want to talk about it because it's there and you know you got to chase it. I think it's cool that they talk about it because that's a big deal to this fan base, is to get there and get one. Not just get there, but get one.
And to Kent Pavelka.
Oh, 54 years. Hey, Bill, you know it. 54 years. I truly believe Kent's hanging on for the first NCAA victory.
And he deserves to.
And he does. He does.
Yeah, he deserves to. I was just grading him in real time there. So
I know Sam answered my question, but he also said something in there. He didn't say win a game. He said make a run. That's something to note with, I think, the mentality of this team is it's not about getting there and getting one. Yeah, obviously they'd love to do it, but he threw that in there too. It was make a run. That was something that piqued my interest just a little bit there.
Their squad is they're tough. They can bury you with a barrage of threes, but Sam touched on the paint points where they went. I mean, they went for 48 paint points, right? If it wasn't working, they didn't just keep settling for missed threes. So you like that. The athleticism of Frager. You've got Rink and you got Berke. You've got some size there. They defend well and communicate, but the grittiness part, I mean, that's not always a part of a recipe that you have. This team has it, and they tend to bring it every night, or at least they have pieces that will do the dirty work. And Sam's one of those guys that, I mean, that rebound that you touched on, Bill, was so key. 5'11" dude is crashing down in the paint to go get the rebound out of sheer desire to give him one more shot. So Nebraska basketball fans growing up, being lucky enough to go to all those games forever and ever during the knee era, just, you know how this town and this state gets cranked up when basketball's good and relevant, and that chase, right, to be along for the ride when they finally do get that first tournament win.
Hey, I think and hey, I'm a season ticket holder. It's a fan base that, and you know, when all of us were kind of in school, Nebraska basketball, those were the heydays in the 90s. That was fun. I mean, the Devaney Center was packed. You tried to be one of the first students in to sit in the dog pound. Yep. You know, that was when Nebraska basketball was rolling, and they've had bits and pieces here and there. But I will say this about the Nebraska basketball fan base. For what your return on investment is, there shouldn't be as many loyal fans as there are. But everybody clings to hope for that one time. And they keep going back to Pinnacle Bank Arena. And it's, one day everybody's going to get rewarded for their loyalty and their following of Nebraska basketball, because there are so many times over the last 15 years that, and you could say this with football too, that you should jump off. But, it's probably easier in football. Basketball, people hang around. And maybe this is the year. But they're fun to watch, man. They're constructed well. They're kind of Fred's team. Fred will probably never get a bunch of 5-star dudes that are falling out of the trees and, 3 of your 5 starters are 5 stars. This seems to be as close to the makeup of a typical Hoiberg team as you're going to find.
That's one thing Sam told me exactly that. This is the team that my dad has been waiting for and hasn't had since Iowa State. And I got a chance to cover some of those teams, but Mast, well, you can see how much of a void it was a year ago and what a blessing it was for him to come back and get a year of maturity, understand the game a little better and what his role can be. It's pretty remarkable. And I don't think people can discount what Porter Moser said after that game, that this Nebraska team is really good. He's been around some really good teams. He constructed a team that went to a Final Four. I know he's kind of exiled down in Oklahoma where, basketball is an afterthought again. But his comments after Nebraska beat them in Sioux Falls, and yes, it was a home court advantage. I think that should resonate with how good this team is. And the one thing I didn't get to ask him was, if he's a new follower to Connor Essegian's tooth. But they had to fight back against New Mexico after Nebraska blew a big lead. They got down against Oklahoma and fought back, but then they had a big lead against both Kansas State and New Mexico and survived to win both of those games. So you got to love the grit that team has. And look, Sam's part of it, and he knows that people know him. He's one of the most notable basketball players in the Big Ten. And for him to play the way he has, so good dude. The sports section, I think, is the podcast he started with the buddy, but he'll probably be joining us a little bit. Yeah, we've been working on the broadcast angle because he's going to get opportunities, and I think we all cheer him on and want him to be better, and so he'll be back with us again if he wants a good grade anyway.
Just 1 second here. I know Schmidt keeps on putting some comments talking football on the stream. We'll get back to that in just a second, Schmidt.
Why?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Gary's out.
But whenever I look at this Nebraska basketball team, Sam mentioned his freshman year where he's playing on scout team and that team was bad. Is it not a little bit incredible to think back to where Nebraska was just a couple seasons ago? I mean, Fred felt like he was on the hot seat a little bit. That team wasn't great. You were like, okay, this whole Fred thing's not working out. The flip from, 3 seasons ago to now, what this team is becoming. It started with that team with Sam Griesel and Derek Walker, kind of got the culture right inside that building. And now the talent seems to be coming right along with it, the culture. It feels like a basketball program that, whether or not they go win an NCAA tournament game this year, it feels like a program that has some staying power in the Big Ten because they know who they are, they have an identity, and they have a coach who knows how to bring the right guys in.
Let's hope so. I mean, I think chemistry is a key thing, but let's don't forget how last year ended. I mean, Nebraska didn't even make the Big Ten tournament. Thankfully, they got to go to Vegas and they had fun in the Crown, and we had fun watching it. And I think to them, it has more of a carryover because we kind of went, but it's going to be a long season, but you cannot discount that they're 5-0. I think that is important with this team because it's not like they played a bunch of cupcakes. No. They've had some Power 4 teams, but they just need to keep stacking wins before they get to the Big Ten. And who knows, man? If they're 10-0 to begin the year, wow, that would make for a very interesting December around here because we know the other sport is going to have a busy month of December.
Yeah, and back to that other sport briefly. More your comments.
Volleyball.
Yeah, volleyball. Amy Williams, Husker basketball. Yeah, I know.
That ass kicking.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's. I just want to jump to this because you guys got to help me here. This is football related. It is 3rd down and 2 on the opening drive last night. And credit to Emmett. I mean, he ran for 52 on that play and had 51 the rest of the game.
Yeah.
He still had 130 yards in total yards. It's 3rd and 2. If I'm going to bring in Hoiberg, aren't I going to do something creative on 3rd down, and then to think, all right, if we do something creative and it doesn't work, let's just go ahead and get the points. I mean, this is that 4th down stop last night and the first drive kind of set the tone for the rest of the night, and that should not have been the case. The tone should have been set of, okay, we got down here, they stuffed us. You know what? Let's get up 3-0. Instead, they stop you, and what happens? They blow off an explosive run, 98-yard touchdown drive. You're in a hole 7-0. Discuss, boys.
Well, and that's where you go. One is the creativity inside the 10. And the simple fact is you've not been able to line up on 4th and short ever the last 3 years for the most part and convert. Go back to the Indiana game. You go back to Ohio State. I mean, you can pick out moments in key games where you are going to be aggressive, and that's fine.
You could do it with Ty last year, but so much has changed since Ty Robinson has left this program. You can't pick up a 4th and short.
And you were able to seal the deal with Ramir on 4th and short against Boston College. So there's one example of it working, right? Kind of the knockout punch. But the fact is they weren't able to convert it. It snowballed on them, and then it was the other side of the football, the defensive line that didn't have answers from the get-go, right? You mentioned that big run. So you aren't able to power forward and make it 1st and goal. You turn it over on downs. Then the other line of scrimmage partner in this thing gets mauled on a 98-yard drive, and it's the first of 2 other 80-plus yard drives where they just run it on you. And if you were trying to load up the box, they threw short. You didn't get off blocks. And from a tackling standpoint, Junior, as I was taking him to work, said, dude, Penn State hit hard and they tackled. Absolutely. That's the other thing is Nebraska's tackling hasn't been as strong this year. They're taking the hit versus giving the hit. So I have no answer. It's okay to lose to a more talented team. That is going to happen. I think we're all in acknowledgement that Penn State is a pretty loaded roster of talent, just not the record. But you can't get stomped. You got outclassed again, and you need to be a little bit better schematically if you're out talented. And you didn't see that with creativity or even any attempt to outflank them.
Why aren't you more creative with the quarterback that we all think they could be more creative with? And I think they took the ball out of his hands in that situation and came up empty.
You're wondering why?
Yeah, why? Let him make a play. You know, the Nebraska's most effective plays inside the 10 this season, I think, were when Latif was in there. Granted, it was in the sparring matches. but he had a couple of 9-yard touchdown runs in those 2 blowout games in non-conference. I mean, he can run, he can be shifty, he can sneak through a hole and get you a yard. But if you're going to line up and try to go man to man against a defensive line that's better than you, Nebraska and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to keep the tush push legal because they can't run it with Flacco, and Nebraska can't do it with their offensive line. You can't get a yard or 2 to pick up a first down or a touchdown, especially with an athletic quarterback that can run and sneak through a seam.
Well,
it was inevitable. Elijah mentioned it last night. It was inevitable what was going to happen, but it would have been nice to have had those points on the board and just to make it look a little different early on.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska's not – listen, Rule is now 2-9 in November. The program is 11-30 since 2015. How do you win in November? You got to win in the trenches. You got to be able to block people. You got to be able to stop the run. Nebraska can't do that against teams that are better equipped than they are. They're not at that position yet, which that if it's the first year, we all go, Got it. Go spend some money. Go recruit. We're now in year 3. Last night brings up hard questions that are lingering that you hope you're getting further away from, that it's the 11th game of year number 3. You can't be outclassed by that. And hopefully a game like last night, when you get it handed to you, is it now just it answers questions you have in your mind if you're running the program, changes you have to make, or where you're going. I think they gotta find a dude on defensive line. They gotta find some edge setters. But I will say one thing about last night. There's a couple of things. Like when you're really, really bad, sometimes when guys play exceptionally well, they stand out more than anybody else. Deshaun Singleton stood out. Ja'Cory Barney stood out. I think you got to be careful. Ja'Cory Barney seems really angry to me. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if he's really happy with the way things are going. I know he wants to win, but man, he's out there balling his ass off. Emmett Johnson is Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson last night didn't change my opinion. He's a first-team All Big Ten guy, and he should still go to the NFL. The other thing last night I'm trending toward the positive here. Whatever decision Dylan makes, Nebraska has a quarterback. Mm-hmm. You can do what TJ Lateef showed you last night when he got his first meal in the Big Ten, and that meal was served with some raw food, but then there was some juicy stuff that he was able to sift through with the fork and knife. Nebraska's got them a quarterback that was playing last night. If they elect to go that route and do what they can do with him. I was impressed by things that happened in that game, which he adjusted to as the game went along. He didn't get completely overwhelmed. He also didn't get a lot of help. In the 4 losses this year, Nebraska gives up about an average of 226 on the ground, and they don't protect the quarterback. Both of those things happened again last night. But think about it. If Nebraska doesn't have a quarterback last night that has wheels to get out of some of these situations, it's worse than 37-10.
Well, Gary, you're right. I feel fine with whoever's under center next year, if it's TJ or if it's Raiola. But the quarterback's not going to matter if Nebraska is that far off of the mark in terms of stopping the run and on their lines of scrimmage. It's not going to matter. That was a horrific performance. And I've seen people this year. Well, it's really not as bad as people say this run defense. They're only a couple steps away. No, it's that bad. It's really, really bad. And if it remains that bad into 2026 and beyond, you need serious changes, or else the quarterback is not going to matter. Penn State made it look easy last night. And that's what we're talking about, the 4th down play call. Yeah, it changes the momentum a little bit, but I don't think it was going to matter whether you got 3, 7, or 0 points on the board, because
you got to stop them.
You weren't going to stop Penn State all night long. They absolutely murdered you in the trenches.
Well, don't you guys also think this? Another thing that hurts with this defensive line this year, and it's the gash runs that we remember the most, is this defensive line really gets no pressure.
No.
Like, thank you, Ty. Thank you, Nash. It sucks that we're now between game 11 and 12 and we're still talking about them. But last year's defensive line was able to get pressure. This year's defensive line can't get much pressure. So if I'm an opposing offensive coordinator, hell yeah, I'm just going to line it up. Even if you're going to run a 50 front at me, I'm going to run it down your throat. I'm going to run counter, and I'm going to wash you out. And then I'm going to take my chances with your linebackers. Thank God. One thing here, I know it. The DBs actually, because they were able to run the ball so well, and Nebraska had to give an extra man to the box. They got dinged on the pass defense. At least some defensive backs came up and play. I talked about Singleton. I'll tell you another one in the back end, guys. I don't know, man. You're talking about development, and they like him for the future. Rex Guthrie, boy, he takes you through the roller coaster of good, bad, and ugly during the course of a game.
He isn't afraid to come up on the run, but in coverage, got beat up a little bit. Your point about pass rush is they've got to send an extra body or trick you, right, with a drop or a blitz. And you saw it. I mean, it was well done with Singleton's sack. But for the most part, you don't have anyone winning a one-on-one to get after the quarterback. There's been a couple of moments, but it's not been consistent, and guys have all day to throw. And then you find that soft spot in front of the safeties behind the linebacker on that play action. I mean, to a man, we were all kind of saying, all right, just put that kitchen sink up front and stop the run and make Grunkmeyer beat you. And that dude had enough time to sign about 14 or 15 footballs in the backfield off of play action. He had guys wide open. You had good matchups by Penn State with who was supposed to be covered by a linebacker. I mean, so Penn State did a really nice job with their game plan and coaching, and that goes to some of the talent.
And it wasn't complex.
No, it didn't have to be.
It didn't have to be, but it was not a complex. Oh my gosh, that was wizardry last night by Penn State. That was simple Big Ten football.
And that's the second time, Bill, that's happened this year, where you got pushed around by simplicity. It happened on another stage when you had a Friday night window to yourself. It happened last night when you had a Saturday night window to yourself. I mean, good on, Terry Smith. He got his guys ready to play, and they executed at a very high level last night. But it's not like they did things that, like, they spent extra time in the film room all week long to come up with that game plan.
Right. And Nebraska needed to and didn't show any creativity with a quarterback that you can be creative with, especially with 2 yards to go. I mean, that would have been a place to maybe be a little creative with what they were trying to do, and they didn't get it done. I want to note what Ronnie said earlier in the stream. Can we give some love to Archie for the hit out of bounds? Not since Byron Bennett and Chris Brown have I seen kickers executing tackles so far deep into the bench. So good on those guys to go on Aussie. Maybe Archie needs to be an edge rusher too.
Can I add? I didn't know a ball carrier could step out of bounds and then lower their shoulder into a defender and
draw a flag.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you as a defender need to be a little smarter to stay out of that situation. But I didn't know you could do that. It's a minor thing. I'm not going to blame the refs for anything. But
did it look like he was Archie was just trying to kind of avoid him?
Yeah, and then
he ran into him.
Yeah. The Penn State guy searched him out. So whatever. Gary said something though. It was simple Big Ten football against Minnesota. Simple Big Ten football against Penn State. It's going to be simple Big Ten football on Friday night against Iowa. On one hand, these are the two things I'm stuck between on a Sunday morning. On one hand, under Matt Rule, after a horrific performance, Nebraska has always come back out the next week and responded. But this Iowa team, just like Penn State, feels especially equipped to go beat Nebraska, which is not difficult to do. But they have a great offensive line. They can run the football with their running backs and their quarterbacks. It might be a 50-plus rushes type of game for Iowa, and I don't see Nebraska standing up to that. But to flip it around, again, under Matt Rule, after a bad performance, Nebraska always has responded.
That is true.
They need to, because the fan base is ticked for sure. It's one thing to lose, another thing to get manhandled, and that is the sticking point into the tenure. So
I mentioned this last night. The difference between Minnesota and Penn State was Nebraska was disinterested in the Penn State or the Minnesota game. The effort was atrocious. They lost the game they should have won. I thought last night that the effort was there. I don't think that they got out. They just got it beat, and that's the measuring stick. I don't think the Minnesota game was Nebraska just had no effort. I think last night they fought. They got beat by a team that's a heavyweight and they were lightweights.
They lost the bar fight.
They lost the bar. They lost the bar fight. Penn State's just better, but Minnesota, Nebraska went in with Friday. They won last week.
Show up to the bar though, at least with some brass knuckles and an ice pick.
True. I've never thought in Rule's tenure at Nebraska that he's had a team that's quit. But, man, we've lowered the bar if we're going, well, at least they hung in there and they fought, it's game 11 of the season. You know what? They didn't look ready to play, okay? And they faced a team that looked more motivated and got his guys jacked to play. I don't know. If I'm Nebraska, that might be the best opportunity you have to walk into that stadium and beat Penn State. They're 4-6. A quarter of the stadium is empty. You have a chance to get to 8 wins, maybe even 9, and you had a bye week, so you were healthy. You got 2 defensive guys back. I don't know. It's one of those things where Nebraska, and this is, and none of us have ever called plays. When you get popped in the mouth and it's just simple strength on strength, what is your answer? It just seems like when Nebraska gets beat physically and they get punched in the mouth, they don't have an adjustment. And it's not like they sit there and take it, but they don't know how to respond to it when the first punch is thrown. And that's something they got to figure out either through the recruiting, the development, the culture, whatever, because it happened against Minnesota, it happened against Penn State, happened against Michigan. And, Nebraska, to stay close against Michigan, they had to pull plays out of their ass. It's simple, just line it up, and we're here to play Big Ten football. And it exposes the T and the D. The game in this conference is built in the trenches, and it's built on development. And if you can't take care of both of those, you're going to have more nights than not like this. But it goes to the Iowa thing, guys. Again, this is a big week for Matt Rule because it's on his plate what happened last night. It's also on his plate to find a way, and Elijah's absolutely right. This is a team that has found a way to bounce back after a bad performance. Who is the real team to finish the year? Are they the same team that played at Arrowhead way back in August, or are they a team that they're going to finish 8-4 and we're going to go, okay, where are we at year 3? But you've got to get ready on a short week to get motivated, and I think they will because there's a lot of motivation in what happened last year. And Iowa's beat you 9 out of 10, but this is a Rule week to wash this, but not forget it, because this is going to have to be a reminder all offseason on what it felt like, what you got to do to build your roster, but then to get ready, because you guys know when we talk again next week, if Nebraska finishes the year 7-5, and all of a sudden the head coach is 2-10 in the month of November, and you finish with back-to-back losses, and the whole thing about you can't beat teams that go to a bowl game, but you can beat teams that do go to a bowl game, and we're in year number 3. These are uncomfortable conversations leading to conversations about 26 and building the roster. And oh, by the way, the schedule's more difficult in conference.
You had a golden opportunity this year with how the schedule's set up to achieve. And you are 0-for right now. You're 0-for against SC. You're 0-for against Michigan. You're 0-for against Penn State. The 3, all right, this team is getting better. To kind of prove that, you get a win against one of those name brands. Michigan's not special this year, but they're good, decent. SC, not special, but good. And then, of course, you have Penn State that completely flopped this year despite the expectations. Your last remaining chance here is Iowa. Go get a win of substance this season. Right now, you got Cincinnati and Northwestern. Northwestern somehow, some way finds ways to get bowl eligible this year. I mean, that's a hell of a coaching job by Braun. Cincinnati's fading a little bit, but their schedule's been tougher than Nebraska's, or I wouldn't say tougher than Nebraska's, but Cincinnati's had some moments. They've gotten better as the year goes on. An Iowa win gives you a chance to at least finish on the right note, a little bit of momentum, and then wherever you end up bowl-wise. But it's going to be tough.
Not to go full doomer here, but if you couldn't find a way off of a bye week to have any answers for a team that everyone knew, everyone in the state of Nebraska knew how Penn State was going to try to beat Nebraska. They were going to ground and pound it and not put too much on Grunkemeier's plate. If you didn't have preparation for that, what is the reason to believe that you will be in any way prepared on a short week for an Iowa team that is going to do more of the same? And guess what? They're also going to pull out the quarterback run a little bit more, which Nebraska hasn't been able to stop all season long either. This team always responds, but this team feels against a team like Penn State or Iowa that's just going to run the football at you, they feel broken.
One thing about Iowa, they're not going to run away from you. They might run you over, but that game is going to be in the phone booth. If Iowa gets up, they're not going to pull away 30-3 or whatever it was at one point, and 37-10. If Iowa's going to have at best a 1 or 2 score lead throughout the game. They might be dominating, they might be owning it, but they're not going to pull away, which gives you a chance to do something to pull one out.
Yeah.
So you better not see Iowa. Oh, it's 24-0 and or 24-3 going into the locker room at halftime. That's just not Iowa football. But if it is, then Nebraska's really got problems.
Well, that means they made a mistake, and Archie has punted to Weegan too many times.
Iowa will torture you slowly.
Right. But it will be, you're a play away. It's a 1 possession, 2 or 1 score, 2 score, but it's not going to be. It's 24-3, and this thing is over.
Saturday night was much tougher than it'll be on Friday, just because of the manner of how they go about their business, the team you're playing. Iowa's offense is god-awful. Okay. I know they have the quarterback run game. I know they like to run the ball. They are putrid on offense right now. And maybe that plays into the hands of Nebraska. But I think this is, yes, it's Nebraska, Iowa, and they beat you 9 out of the last 10 times. But Friday is about Nebraska. That team last night looked like a team on a mission that was on the other sidelines. How come you can't look like a team that is on a mission? And can rules stop with this? I think there are too many times where he gets caught up in the emotion and the momentum of a game, and then it's just what's going on. And you see him arguing with officials, and you see a key 4th down play which gets rushed in there early in the game. I don't know. The emotion and momentum, trying to conquer that, I think, is an issue. But they've got to conquer a win on Friday, because 7-5, even though there are areas that there are progress, it's tough to ride and say, hey, we're getting better. We were year 1, we won 5, year 2, we won 6, year 3, you won 7. And everybody goes, well, what happened to the year 3 bump? And I don't necessarily think you can go, well, we lost our starting quarterback, because now you will have had 3 games with TJ. Last night is one of those nights we want to avoid, because they reiterate some questions we have, and then they bring up some new ones, guys. And we're in year 3 with 1 game to go.
You can't lose a 3rd game at home against a marquee opponent.
True.
Just can't do it. Go ahead, Elijah.
I was going to take it back just a second here, because we've been talking a lot in the last couple of weeks about rule game management, and this bugged me last night. It didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So, I mean, we'll probably just move on from this very quickly. I just want to get it out there in the open, make sure everyone has a note of it. Whenever you scored a touchdown to get your 9th point on the board when it was 30-9, shouldn't you have gone for 2 there? It didn't matter. I'll make that very clear. It didn't matter. But in that situation, you go for 2 to get yourself to down 19 points, so you can score 2 touchdowns with 2 2-point conversions, then kick a field goal to tie it. Nebraska kicked the extra point, and again, it didn't matter. Maybe that was Nebraska waving the white flag, but the analytics would say, I know we complain about the analytics, but you go for 2 to get down 19, so 2 touchdowns with the 2-point conversions and a field goal ties it. That being said, it did not matter at that point in the football game, but that was just something I noticed live. I'm like, that's a go for it time. Being down 20, like, it doesn't matter, but 19 is an important number.
Daryl Morey will be sending you a gold star for your refrigerator.
Analytics. You can't go 4th and 1 and be rushing the play in, because you're wondering, what the hell should I do? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
God, do I go for it? Do I kick it? Let's go for it.
Did you guys, anything stand out to you on the why? But man, the pre-snap penalties came back again last night, and they were key ones. They took off a key 3rd down run by Emmett, took it off the board and made it 3rd and long. I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of pre-snap penalties, and all of a sudden last night they popped back up. They all seem to be ones, when they happen, were killers.
Oh, big time.
Well, the delay of game, I'm not sure if that was that was
awful.
That was on the officials.
There was a personnel change, and their mechanics were a little bit weird, but also you didn't do your quarterback many favors there. There was the false start on Dane Key where he didn't get set. That's on the quarterback. I thought a few of those were on the quarterback, but
no,
that's fair. That's fair to say. He was starting his 2nd game, but as I said earlier, whatever Dylan decides, TJ Lateef can play quarterback in the Big Ten.
Totally agree.
I mean, he just needs to play more football, but there's enough there that you can do some things with, and he can do some things with. I mean, I saw enough of him fail and succeed last night by learning on the fly when the roof was caving in, that I'm like, I could ride with that guy. But never in my wildest dreams, guys, and this kind of shows you how this game got out of hand, that I think Lateef would go to State College and throw the ball 37 times.
They were buried, and it was trying to play catch-up time on top of the fact it's, all right, live bullets. Now is as good a time as any. Do you think Nebraska, and this goes up to the comment we just put up, do you think Nebraska gets too conservative or concerned about, all right, worst case scenario? I mean, do they Is there a portion of the offense they're comfortable with Latif running, and then Latif's comfortable with running, so he's at this part of the class, so to speak, when it comes to knowing, or are they just trying to ease him in? I'm wondering what you think here. Could they open it up more on offense? Could they do more with his athleticism and mobility from a play call standpoint? You saw minimal zone read. You saw initially you saw some rollouts, and he hit a couple of big third downs on the move. There was also some drop back there that the throws sailed on him. He almost looked a little bit more accurate on the move throwing the football. Defensively, is it live by the blitz, die by the blitz, and just start run blitzing to create some negative plays and force them to throw? I mean, do you hit that button here going into the Iowa game after what Penn State did to you?
I think at this point in the season, after
it's all on the table, right?
After two brief appearances in the sparring matches, at the end of the USC game, you had a full start. Everything should have been on the table to call whatever they needed to call to maximize the talents that the quarterback who's starting at the moment can do, which should be everything. I don't know how you are pulling back or holding back, because TJ is. I mean, they had a true freshman as the starter last year, and he started half the season this year. That's not a ton of experience ahead of TJ Latif. In my opinion, at this point in the season, it should have been all on the table. We should have seen more creativity, more utilization of what TJ Latif does well, which is move the pocket. There was a simple rollout last night where he completed a pass. Was like, that's not going to be completed or called the first 6 games of the season. And one thing about, Gary's mentioned, whoever the quarterback is next year, Nebraska has one. Go back to the history of, this is the first time in Dylan Raiola's career that he has played at the same school back-to-back seasons. And every place that he's gone, he has been basically, you're going to be the starter. High school, you're going to be the starter. He came to Nebraska, you're going to be the starter. Came into a sophomore season, he's going to be the starter. Next year, if it's legit, there should be competition for as to who the starter is going to be. Mm-hmm. Does he want to be a part of that competition, or does it fall back to, I'm going to be on the move, and who needs one? Miami's going to need one. I don't know all the other schools that are going to be, needing quarterbacks, but the pattern prior to Nebraska was 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here. And if it's legit competition in the spring at Nebraska, does he want to be a part of that, or does he want to have the job someplace else? And the same could be said of Latif. I've shown what I can do. I know what bag I can get, so I'm going to go get it elsewhere. But
does he want to be part of the competition? Latif came in knowing Dylan's here and said, you know what, I'm okay with trying to go win a job.
Right.
I see that. And what do you want your offense to do? You want the mobile element to it.
So I agree that they have their quarterback, but both of them want to be a part of competition?
I mean, the whole calendar got pushed up because Dylan got hurt. Okay. I think Latif was here and he knew there's 2 years you're probably going to be sitting, but then it's going to be 2 years for you to burst onto the scene. And they're also thinking, we're going to redshirt you. Okay. You're going to get to play, but we want to keep the red shirt on you. So then, your clock. So things got sped up. I think also things got sped up for Latif. And we've all discussed this. Your last 2 games, UCLA was a good appetizer because UCLA didn't do much pre or post snap stuff. Penn State has the dudes and the mindset with Jim Knowles, and now you got Phil Parker coming to do stuff that I think Latif had never really seen before on a consistent basis. Not his fault. He just hasn't played a lot of football. That they did some things pre-snap. Elijah pointed out the Dane Key thing, which he's right. I think it was a little bit slow for him to pick up. That disrupted some things because you got to make some calls to do with your offensive line and check in and out of a play. So good on Penn State for doing that. And it's, guy starting his second game, but he was able to adjust more. Like, look at the third quarter. Like, Nebraska comes out and you're like, okay, here we go. Their first time they have the ball. They might have a drive here. Penalty got in the way. Then later in the game, I thought the drive that culminated in the touchdown, that showed you everything you need to know about what Latif can do, some glimpses. So I was impressed that he learned from his mistakes as the game went on. But just like Friday, they'll throw some things at him before the snap that he probably has not seen as much on tape, that he's going to have to adjust on the fly. And, because Nebraska just can't simply just turn and hand the ball off and run it. They need to give a little sizzle to it. One question that somebody brought up, they sent an email. Going back to Hoiberg, how would you describe Hoiberg's year in his transition from quarterback to tight end?
Transitional.
Disjointed?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been comments made that he's getting better, he's working hard. It's still not a mastery is the best way to put it. So you throw him in and he's made some wham blocks, great, but they really haven't got him the football that often as a receiver because they're not throwing it to Lindenmeyer either. I mean, you got a nice option there they haven't really taken advantage of or used as much as they should have or could have. So he's a guy that has just done what a lot of guys back in the day did, and that's just put his heart and effort into helping the team when called upon. But there's just a reality. He's not been called upon that much because of the transition. It's a new spot for him. He's still learning and getting better at hitting people versus running that offense.
Well, he's an incredible athlete. It feels like the story of his Husker career is no coach knows how to get him on the field using that athleticism.
Sure.
He really wasn't a quarterback. That was one thing Whipple got right. Now, should he have not been in the quarterback room? That's another discussion altogether. But no, he wasn't a quarterback, not in 2025. Is he a tight end? Should he have been playing linebacker? I don't know what his best position is. I don't know if the coaches know what his best position is because as a tight end, yeah, he's been all right, but it's been disjointed and he made that move late in his career, but it doesn't seem like the most natural fit for him either. Neither was quarterback. I just don't think anyone knows quite where to put him on the football field.
No, and it's a transition. I mean, major transition to go from quarterback to tight end. I just, like last night, his most important plays, it's an obvious tell. They've worked on a little pop pass out of that. And we saw earlier in the year where they had Dillon and Hoiberg and, Emmett all together and how that ended up in a touchdown. But man, it's almost like, okay, they're going to do the Heine push or whatever we were calling it. That's just, it doesn't, I don't know. When you can't just line five guys up and move the pile, I think it really throws Holgorsen off. We can say he's creative and everything, but when they just get beat on the line of scrimmage and they can't run a simple run play just to get 3, 4, 5 yards, I think it really throws this offense off. And then you put it into an obvious tell of a passing situation.
No, and he's pretty candid with that. When you get down, I mean, it'll be interesting to hear him Tuesday with just the flow of the game and how quickly they got buried. You blink and it's 10-0, and it's not his call to kick it or go for it on 4th down and 1. That's Rhule's call, and they need to be right with whatever they decide. Either get the first down or kick the field goal, get the points, take the lead.
And I would have thought that, when they got stuffed on, so what it would have went from third, they got 1 yard on 3rd down.
It was 4th and 1.
So I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Now it's after the fact, but when Penn State says that was the moment in the game, and that was what, like the 6th or 7th play of the game?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that says a lot.
Up.
That's uncomfortable. Yes, you gave them some momentum and some excitement for a team that was already jacked.
Mm-hmm.
And you took away once again, what Nebraska was 1 for 6 on 4th down last night. They're 7 of 22 on the year. You guys walk up the field and they're like, well, we got 0 on the board. Didn't get it into the end zone.
Again.
And Penn State took the field at the 2-yard line, took that momentum from the stop, knowing they, a lot of times most times teams get the ball at the 2, get some position to punt. Let's get it out. Let's change the field. Let's start over again. They took the field knowing they could go 98 yards. They were confident in that.
After that counter run off the edge,
yeah,
it felt great. Let's see if this works. Let's see how Nebraska can stop or set the edge. Oh hell, this will be open all night. That's what it said to them.
And I think most Nebraska fans watch that moment and go, "They're going to go 98 yards."
Well,
it wasn't like, well, at least we pinned them at the 2. We'll get the ball back at the 50. Let's do it again. I think people thought, we're getting from one of those Minnesota drives again.
They lost the middle 8, 13-0. I mean, when Singleton scores and it gets to 23-3, you could have started the bus then.
Yes, you could have. Well, we'll gear up. Busy week for Nebraska, Iowa.
Basketball school.
Well, on a Sunday, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence Nebraska can go get a win against Iowa on Friday?
3.
I'm actually more optimistic about Friday than I was last night. I think that I'd put it at 5-6. I think they can win at home.
Say it, Sharpie. You're wanting to. It's on the tip of your tongue.
An 8.
Okay.
Wow. I was also at a 3, but I've been known to be reactionary in my day. So
I think Latif is going to have a great home starting debut and will be a difference maker.
Well, you better have a good finale if you're John Butler in this defensive line, because that is where it's going to be won or lost for Nebraska Black Friday. We're at the Single Barrel with the Black Friday edition, 7 to 10, and then the bar post-game show, slinkies and spindlers all around.
I could have used a slinky last night. I tell you what.
2:30.
We're just on this. We're just on the stream, right? We're just on the stream. Yeah. That's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Win, lose, or draw. We'll still be pouring beers and slinkies for you.
There's less students around on Black Friday, so I'm hoping it's not like an absolute shit show. Maybe it's going to be of epic proportion. It's a Black Friday at the bar. I can't wait.
You have to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to win that football game. 7-5, 8-4. We would have liked to have 9-3. Those of us that said 9-3 before the year, one win is a huge thing in year 3 rule.
Find Sharpie, of course, Monday through Friday with Gary and Matt, 1620, 6 to 10. Find us tomorrow on KFOR with the Average Joe Sports Show. Elijah Herbel, Gary Sharp, Bill Doleman, Chris Schmidt. Thanks for checking out Sunday Live. Subscribe on YouTube to the Average Joe Sports Show, AJ Sports Radio on Twitter. Guys, have yourself a good rest of your weekend, and be back at you this week on the Average Joe Sports Show.